Midweek word on Wednesday, here we go. Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Alita. Welcome. Today I have a word for you based on a dream that I had on January 24th, 2022. I love it when I'm prepared with the date. I just love it. Anyway, so friends, before we get into this dream, it is one of those dreams that I just love. Anyway, before we get into the dream, the disclaimer. Please guys, take this word before the Lord. If you really believe it's for you and it resonates in your spirit, ask God for confirmation. Don't just run with it. Check with Him that this is definitely for you. And for some of you, this could be confirmation of something God has already spoken to you about. I still encourage you to take it to Him. I don't have the whole story. 1 Corinthians chapter 13 talks about how we prophesy in part and we only know in part, and that's for a very specific reason, so that we can each individually seek God for ourselves. He wants a relationship with every one of us. That is so important. It's the most important relationship you'll ever have. Cultivate that. Really invest in that. So yes, take the word to Him and ask Him your questions. He'll give you your specific strategies, okay? So let's get into the dream. Friends, this is one of those dreams, like I said, that I just absolutely love, especially just coming out of a time of just so much turmoil, right? And having this dream was such a blessing. So like I said, it was on January 24th. So I'm going to try and relay this dream the best way I remember. I've listened to it so many times, and because it was such an elaborate dream, I'm really praying that I get everything out that I need to and that I remember all the details. Okay, so here we go. I remember being in this office environment, beautiful office environment, very corporate, and I was in a conversation with somebody. What I understood in the dream was that I was top management, right? That I had a very important role in actually everyone has an important role in an organization. That I had a very strategic role. I was top management, and the dream started off with me having a conversation with somebody, and this person was a very skilled worker. They were very technical about what they were trying to tell me, and I remember saying to them, okay, at first I wasn't interested. I remember that, because I was like, I don't get any of this, and I almost just wanted to reject the whole thing, because I was like, I just don't understand it. This is just too technical. And then I realized that, you know what, I can ask him to break it down for me in simpler language, in layman's terms, right? So I did that. I said, okay, listen, let's have a discussion about this, and please just break it down for me in a way that I can understand. It was late in the day. I think closing time had come and gone. But so it felt like, there weren't many of us in the office at the time. So I said to him, let's meet in the canteen area. So as I'm headed to the canteen area, there's a man sitting at a desk. He is, in the dream, it felt like he was my lover. But what I loved about this man, right, was that he just had this feeling of just complete authority, just complete and full understanding of everything that was going on. He was my partner. He was someone that I knew was going to give me direction, someone that I knew I could rely on, someone that I knew I could bounce off ideas off of, someone that I knew was there to help me, that we were on the same level. He was top management as well, and I was learning a lot from him. He had it all together. That's the sense I got from this man. And I saw him, and I think we said something to each other. And then I looked into the canteen area, and I was quite surprised to see that there was still a lot of people there. And I thought, wow, I mean, it's like way after, working hours, and people are still here, and everyone just seemed like happy and just glad to be there, just going about their conversations. And I wanted to have this conversation with the other skilled worker, the guy who had all that technical expertise, but I wanted something a little bit more private. But I just told myself, I'm just gonna have to sit at one of these tables, even though there are so many people here. And then the man that I told you about, the one who was my partner, he showed me another table just on like the other side, in a way, like just around the corner, and it was one of those tables that was more private. And he said, yeah, you can sit there, that's a good place. So we all sat there, me, him, and the guy with the technical expertise. But just before we went to sit down, I remember there was a moment, like I said, this dream has bits and pieces that kind of just were dropped in randomly, and they almost feel like they don't flow, but they're still a part of the dream. So before we sat down and stuff, there was a moment where I had this bag of clothing that I had been collecting for people that need clothes, that don't have clothing. So I had been collecting that, and I remember thinking that there was more to come, and I didn't want to send it out immediately. So I left the bag somewhere in an area. So now I'm sitting at the table with these two men, and I realized that I need to go and I don't know where I was going, but I had to get up and go do something. And just as I was doing that, my partner, the man that had it all together in the dream, he started to speak to this guy with the technical skills, and he was telling him something, and his voice went down to a whisper. It was almost like a secret. And I remember thinking as I walked away, like, hey, I need to know what they're talking about. But I knew that I was going to be given that information. I wasn't worried that I was missing out. I just was like thinking to myself, I need to remember to ask him what that was about. So I went to another part of the office, and I was talking to somebody else, and she was helping me with a few admin things. And I think the important part about this dream is this is where I realized that this was a temporary role. I was in this position temporarily. There was something specific that I was there to do in this organization. And I know this because this woman got up from her desk and she went into an area that requires access cards, and access cards were held by permanent employees, and I didn't have one. And she went into that area where she went to go get her coffee and stuff, and where I was, there was an abundance of food and coffee and everything that I wanted, and everything that was where she went was out there as well. So I knew that I still had access to all of this stuff, even though I didn't have that access card that permanent employees have. So that's how I knew in the dream that I was there temporarily. Excuse me. I went back to where the guys were, and this time there were more people. I was sitting with someone that I would consider a friend, I guess, colleague, and I remember this young lady coming in, and she was carrying that bag of clothing, and she was like, hey, look what I found, we can send this out today. She was so excited. And I said to her, no, I haven't sent it out, or I didn't give it to you, because she was the person I was supposed to give it to. She was the one running with charity stuff or corporate social investment type stuff, for those who do the corporate lingo thing. So she was so excited about that, and I said to her, I hadn't given it to her yet because I was still waiting for more stuff. And this young lady, what I got in the dream is that she had been there really early in the day, and she was still there. It was like after 7, and someone actually, guys, I have to remember this clearly, if this was something I thought or something someone said. And I'm not editing this video today, so you're gonna have to bear with the quiet moments. Yeah, it was as though there was this understanding that she had been there the longest, right? She had been there before everybody else in the morning. And someone was actually saying this, I remember this now. Someone was saying it, and as they were saying it, that's what they were doing. They were prophesying over her. That's it. So someone started to prophesy over her about, hey, you really work hard, you've been here the earliest, you came in early, and you came in before everybody else. And as this person was prophesying over her, I had this vision of her relaxing on a beach, just under an umbrella, having a good time. And I knew that that was a word for her to say, you need to rest, you should go ahead and just take a vacation. And I wanted so much to say that to her, but this other person was speaking to her, and then I was distracted by my friend / colleague who was talking about how wonderful, everything was, and that God was really moving, and look at what God is doing, how amazing. And a part of me almost wanted to downplay the whole thing, and I realized that no, this really is great. God is doing some amazing things. He's fulfilling promises in this time. It was such a beautiful prophetic moment where it almost felt like I was having a conversation with one of my friends in Waking Life about all the things that God is doing in this season. And that was the dream. What an awesome dream, guys. When I woke up from this dream, I just remember just being like, thank you. I love having dreams like this. So I'm gonna grab my notes, and like I said, I don't have time to edit this video today, guys, so I'm going to be reading from my notes. I have a lot of notes. Please bear with me. It may be a longer video. I see we're already 12 minutes in because that was a long dream, but please do watch as far as you can into the video, because this will really bless you today. So what God was giving me through this dream is that there are those of you who have been promoted in the spirit. You've been going through this process, right, where it almost felt like no, the old self died. It didn't feel like it. Something died in you, and going through that process really felt like dying. It was really, really difficult. And I'll even link this to a dream that I shared a few months ago, in which I was in this car that was being pursued, and I died in that car crash situation, and woke up in this new place, and I was so confused, but it was a beautiful place, and it took me a while to just take it in and to accept where I was. If I remember, I'll link the video in the information box below. But so there has been a very specific process over the last few months, right, which has been transitioning you into this promoted state, into this place of promotion. So this is where some of you are. From death of the old self, coming into the new, which consists of a new level of authority. Guys, I'm going to be reading a lot because I wrote so much, right? Like I said, in that dream, I found myself so confused, and I wrote you that it was quite confusing, and it took a while for you to navigate and begin to understand what God was doing in your life. You've been through that process where you're like, God, what is happening? Why am I going through this really difficult thing? I feel like I'm dying. And it was also that God could promote you to this new level. There were certain things that had to be removed from your life, and those things were such a part of you that they had to die. It was your old self, and you were literally reborn. You were born again. I do have another video where I share about how after going through that process, I understood what being born again was. That, when we receive Jesus, people say that's when you're born again, but I beg to differ. After what I have been through, I believe when you go through a certain process where you literally die to the old self, where you begin to let go or expel certain demons that have been working in your life, and you step into your identity, where you really understand who you are, and you know that you belong to God. You are in His family. You're not an orphan. You are not rejected. You are part of God's heavenly family. Jesus is your family. You co-reign with Jesus. You are a co-heir, a joint heir with Jesus. When you fully grasp that, and you've dealt with the demonic forces that were pulling you away from that truth, making you believe the lies, then you are born again. That was my experience. I really felt for the first time, oh my goodness, this is rebirth. This is me, because I fully comprehended and I could accept the truth of what God was saying to me about who I am in Him, right? So God is saying that right now, because you've been through that process, because you've understood it, you're no longer confused, you understand what God was doing in your life, that He's given you authority. Some of you may still be trying to grasp the idea of having this authority. What God is saying to you now is that it's time to make strategic moves for the greater kingdom. You have been recruited by Jesus Christ. He has recruited you into a role where you will partner with Him. He wants you to partner with Him. He's saying, come stand side by side with me. He's saying, co-reign with me in this time. So the man in the dream who was my partner, who I felt this romantic connection with. And remember, a romantic connection in a dream can talk about intimacy. So for me, what God was showing me was this intimacy that I have with Jesus. And he's saying, you are at that level where you have such an intimacy with him, and he is recruiting. No, he has recruited you to be an equal partner with him, to make strategic decisions together with him. The definition of top management is this. Well, first I just wrote down my ideas, which is decision maker, leader. And then I Googled it just to get, that HR definition. I used to work in HR and I used to write these job descriptions. So yeah, this gave me flashbacks to a former life. So top management level people are responsible for establishing policies, guidelines, and strategic objectives, as well as providing leadership and direction for quality management within an organization. Jesus has recruited you for that role in whatever he's taking you into right now. And please understand that it is an assignment. God is giving you an assignment. The fact that it felt temporary in the dream, where I realized that I'm not a permanent employee. What the Lord had me thinking was, because I asked him, why is it not permanent? And he said to me, think about it this way. Go back to your recruitment days when you were a recruiter. You would recruit people, you would appoint them in certain positions, and sometimes you would have to recruit people and appoint them in contract roles, because either they wanted to be contractors or the role was just a contract role. It was temporary. So that role would begin and end, but that didn't mean that person's whole experience and expertise and that level of wherever they were at was taken. They would just be placed somewhere else. They would move on to a different assignment, still carrying all the knowledge and expertise that they have. So it's not to say that God is demoting you when this assignment is over. No, God is strategically placing you in a particular role right now, and some work needs to be done, right? So he's pulled you out of your time of transition, and you are now going to be, and when I say now, please guys understand that everything is dependent on God's timing. Please know that this could be happening for you in 2 months time. It could be happening in 6 months time, whenever. Just know that God's timing is perfect, and align with that, right? But also understand that Jesus has recruited you to make decisions with him. So I hope that was clear. So you're being given an assignment. It is a temporary assignment, and understand that you will always be at the level you're at. Okay, so now there I was in the stream talking to a man who was trying to give me all of this technical stuff. And what the Lord is saying is that you need to take some time to acquaint yourself with the inner workings of what he's putting you into. And don't feel overwhelmed, and don't feel like you're not going to get it or understand it. Take the time to acquaint yourself with these things, with the people that God is placing in your life. And for some of you, on some level, it's on a spiritual plane. So you have access to the assistance of angels, right? And they have specific roles. But also on a physical level, on a earthly realm level, God is putting people in your life who have very specific skills, and you are going to have to understand what they do and allow them to give you that understanding, because initially it may feel overwhelming because it's just too much. Like, you don't know what they do, and the way they're bringing it across can seem overwhelming. The Lord is saying, don't be overwhelmed. Take the time to understand it. It can be broken down for you. You just need a high level understanding so that you can be able to fulfill your mandate, which is to establish policies, guidelines, and strategic objectives, to lead, right? And to be a decision maker with Jesus Christ. So you need information to be able to make decisions, right? So the environment that God is going to place you in, right? And when I say environment, you have to seek the Lord and ask him specifically for yourself what that environment is. But you're going to have like-minded people. It's going to be something that you're going to be part of, something where everyone has the same objective, but you're the one who's going to have to guide those objectives, who's going to have to speak into those objectives so that everyone knows what we're working towards, right? And people are going to go the extra mile. The fact that there were still people after working hours still working, still having their meetings and coming together and working things out in that canteen area. A canteen can represent a place where there's like common understanding, a place where everyone takes in the same information and is being fed the same things, and everyone has there's a unity, there's a common understanding in that area. But because of the role that God has given you, you need to be, just like any management position, you can't just be making strategic plans in front of everybody. So that's why Jesus in the dream, and that was represented by my partner, he gave me a very private area to work in. He said, hey, why don't you come and have your meeting here? And I really felt like he was someone that was going to give me so much guidance, which is why when I woke up from the dream, I knew he didn't represent my husband. I knew that he was like, I knew that it was Jesus. And I just asked God, please confirm that this is Jesus. And he said, yeah. And over the past few days, over the last week, God was showing me how Jesus wants to partner with so many of us. And this dream, having this dream and then seeing certain things happening in my life and hearing certain messages, I was like, okay, so this is what God is doing right now. And what a privilege to partner with Jesus, guys. And guys, please bear with me if I'm rambling. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get this beautiful message across as best as I can. So you have certain people with skills and expertise at your disposal. Use them as God leads you. Partner with Jesus. You are working together. He's saying, come and partner with me. He's giving you a very high seat of honor, guys. And I just want to make sure that you understand that Jesus wants to make decisions with you. He has brought you to a level where he knows your heart. He knows that you want only the will of God in your life and on this earth. So that's why he has chosen to partner with you, because you're not after your own selfish agenda where it's all about, I just want my promises so that I can, glorify God. We always put that disclaimer in. He understands that your primary goal is to serve him, is for his will to be done. And that's why he's trusting you in that position. When you are appointed in a top management position, there's a level of trust that people have in you. That's why they appointed you in that position. So Jesus is appointing you there because he trusts you. He knows your heart. He knows that even though you are not perfect, your heart is to do the will of God and to carry out the will of God, which is really beautiful. Everything that you need is available. Even though you're temporarily in this particular position, you will have access to all the benefits, even the benefits of people that are there permanently. You're going to have all the benefits. It will be there in abundance. There was an abundance. I knew that I wasn't going to lack anything. Everything I needed was going to be there. Y'all, there was coffee in this dream. If those who know me know how I feel about coffee, we shall not go into that. What God is trying to show us with that abundance in the dream is that provision is going to be there. Provision should be the last thing on your mind because it's there, it's guaranteed. Your focus should be about making strategic decisions for the greater good of the kingdom. And this ties me now to that bag of clothing. That was a charitable deed in the dream. That was part of that corporate social investment that organizations do. And what the Lord was showing me through that is we always need to understand that there are always people who need help, people who need healing, people who are lacking, who are broken, who need acceptance, who need to be loved, who need to understand who they are in Christ. They've lost their identity. They don't understand who they are. and they're scrambling for bits and pieces. And the Lord is saying that is all a part of it. What we do is for the greater good of the kingdom, is to bring souls into the kingdom, is to help people come into understanding of who they are. It is very strategic, and because God knows your heart, that is why He is placing you in partnership with Jesus, because He knows that you understand that, and that you're not going to treat it as a small part of things. It's a major part of things. That's why in the dream I wasn't just about just send it out. I knew that there was more that could be collected for the people, and I wanted it to be done right. And God is giving you He's going to bring you into contact with people who have been dedicated to helping others. The young woman in the dream was just so dedicated to this work. She came in first before everybody else, and she just wanted to make sure that people got the things that they needed, those who were less fortunate, who needed those clothes. And those clothes just representing identity, representing covering, things that people need, right? And her name was Tuli, and I looked this up, and please forgive me. I should know this, but Tuli means quietness, stillness, right? And there was something about this young lady, just the way she was just very humble. And I believe that is an aspect as well. God is showing us an aspect of your character, you who this word is for, that there is a humility that you carry, and you understand that people need help. And as we in the dream, as we gathered together at the end there, where I was with a friend, a colleague, and looking at this young lady and having this prophetic vision for her to rest, God is saying, be sensitive in this time to how He's speaking to you about those around you, and be ready to share those words with them. When you see what they're doing, when you see how dedicated they are, release people into rest when they need to, because sometimes organizations can work people down to the ground without realizing that they need to take a break. And God is saying, be different, be compassionate towards people. And He's saying, get excited for what He has promised in this season, because He is doing it. In that last scene in the dream, there was just this excitement, and I almost wanted to downplay it, and that's the biggest mistake we can make now in this new season. God is saying, do not downplay what I am doing. Sorry, I'm trying to unlock my phone. Don't downplay what I'm doing. I am doing it. I am bringing these things to pass. It is a time of great joy, and a time for you to partner with Jesus, to co-reign with Him. He wants to make decisions with you guys. Please take this role on with confidence. None of that false humility stuff I wrote here. This is yours. It's your opportunity. Don't downplay yourself, and don't downplay the opportunity. It's time to make strategic moves for the greater kingdom. And the Lord gave me Isaiah 61 verse 1 to 7, which reads as follows. The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is upon me, for the Lord has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to comfort the brokenhearted, and to proclaim that captives will be released in Jesus' name, and prisoners will be freed. He has sent me to tell those who mourn that the time of the Lord's favor has come. The time of the Lord's favor has come. Do you understand that? It has come. It is here. It is right now. And with it, the day of God's anger against their enemies. Jesus. God keeps pointing me back to Isaiah 66 verse 6, which talks about the sound of God's voice coming against His enemies. Anyway, back to Isaiah 61 verse 3. To all, I don't know where the recording ended, because I just looked up and it had stopped. So I'm going to start from verse 3, Isaiah 61 verse 3. To all who mourn in Israel, He will give a crown of beauty for ashes, a joyous blessing instead of mourning, festive praise instead of despair. Jesus. In their righteousness, they will be like great oaks that the Lord has planted for His own glory. They will rebuild the ancient ruins, repairing cities destroyed long ago. They will revive them, though they have been deserted for many generations. You're about to do things that haven't been done for generations. You're about to revive things that lay dead and dormant for generations. Praise God. Foreigners will be your servants. in the dream, I was in charge. I was top management. I had all these people at my disposal. Foreigners will be your servants. They will feed your flocks and plow your fields and tend your vineyards. You will be called priests of the Lord, ministers of our God. You will partner with Jesus, co-reigning with him. Jesus is the great priest. He is the minister of our God, and he's saying, come and stand and do that with me. You will feed on the treasures of the nations and boast in their riches. Instead of shame and dishonor, you will enjoy a double share of honor. You will possess a double portion of prosperity in your land, and everlasting joy will be yours. Friends, this is a beautiful word from the Lord. And for those who it is for, this is your time to partner with Jesus. Do it with all confidence and boldness. You have authority. The old self has died, and you've been brought into a new level of authority, and it is time for you to get that and exercise that authority. God knows your heart. He knows that what you want is God's will, which is why he is giving you this. He has given you the keys to the house of David. Okay, the highest seat of honor in his court. You, my friend, open doors that no one can shut, and you shut doors that no one can open. That's Isaiah 22 verse 22. That's been a very key verse in the last few months for me. And God is saying that to you today. Take your place. Take your place. You're the one making the decisions now. You're making them with Jesus because he knows your heart. It's time to make some strategic moves for the kingdom, for the greater good of all. Okay, friends, I really pray that this has blessed you. I will see you in the next video. Always remember that God is a good Father, and that you, my friend, are so deeply special to him. Step into your destiny.